Good morning. My name's Daniel Sweetser, and I'm reading through a novel I just finished up called Hope Starts Small. And I'm reading Chapter 2, Section 3, Prognostication. Constance's dad had passed away in late 2021. His funeral was held in October. It was a bittersweet event full of hope in Jesus, as well as unspoken sorrow and regret over things her dad, affectionately called Opa, had left undone. He was in Illinois when he died, having been in the long process of packing all of his things for a move to New York. But he was ill. This meant that he did not have much energy to pack. It also didn't help that the pile of things to be packed continued to grow at a constant rate. After Opa passed away, Frank, Constance's sister, and her husband all went back to Illinois and took on the task of emptying their childhood home, a second-floor apartment in a duplex by the train tracks. Frank knew he would be gone for quite some time and would have to leave immediately. He went to the store and picked out gifts for each of his kids and for Constance, sorrowful parting tokens to help keep the peace. Then he scheduled a rental car, and with a couple of days, Constance and the kids had dropped him off so he could be on his way. Frank had driven from New York to Illinois many times before. He had taken a trip in the middle of COVID in a rented RV to retrieve Constance's mom so she could live with them. Opa had filled the RV with furniture and boxes, mostly belonging to her, and so it became a sort of makeshift covered wagon for their return journey. And after that, Frank would drive to Illinois periodically to retrieve Opa for short visits to New York. These visits were often stressful. He was not an easy guy to live with, and the visits were often filled with appeals from Constance that he should finish packing and come to live with her and Frank. She loved him despite his many faults and wanted him to enjoy his grandchildren while he could. But try as he may, Opa was facing an impossible task to keep and pack everything he had, regardless of worth. And so he left the task unfinished, and his family had to pick up the pieces left over and throw them out. Cleaning out Opa's place was an ordeal. He had so much stuff. Some of the things he kept had great value as memories, but much of what he had kept was worthless. Dumpsters were filled again and again. Frank was so tired by the middle of the trip that he began thanking God for every box delivered to the dumpster. He left after a few days of work, and Constance's sister and brother-in-law finished the job. The apartment was cleaned from top to bottom. The keys were handed to the landlord, and everyone said goodbye. Frank had gone to Illinois knowing it would be difficult, but he didn't anticipate how he would see things differently on his return. When he arrived at home, one of the first things he noticed was a large stack of papers in his office that needed to be sorted. As soon as he saw it, memories came back of the boxes and boxes of unsorted miscellany in Opa's place, and Frank became determined. He spent the next calendar year being determined. Frank was sick in his own way, although he didn't know yet exactly how. And one way it expressed itself was that when he set his mind on something, it was very difficult for him to let it go. So he spent that year cleaning, hunting, and asking, "Do we need this?" over and over again. The house in town had a very large and inhospitable basement, as well as a number of attics, and this meant that things collected that otherwise would not have. But Frank had set his mind to make sure his home never became what he saw back in Illinois. He gave things away, a home gym, a treadmill, an air hockey table. He rooted around and found junk that he summarily put to the curb. Some things he sold, but only if it could be done quickly. And now, in this moment, as Frank and Constance viewed an impending move, it became clear to him that the process he had undergone was a necessary prerequisite to their current plan. Their goal was to downsize the house and expand the land. This was how they planned to afford the move. And for this to work, they would need to have less stuff. Constance was exhausted at the time. Lily had just been born that October, and this meant little sleep for her or Frank. But Frank did better with less sleep, and so he was able to proceed at a brisk pace. Constance also did what she could. It came in spurts with great effort, but was essential to their plan. She downsized the entire kitchen, filling bag after bag with items that would be given away. She sorted through books and toys, and then, like a friendly burglar, Frank would quietly take them away, never to be seen again. A year before, Frank didn't know that the work he had begun would be essential. But by the time the realtor told Frank and Constance that they would need to sell first, Frank was far enough along in the process that it was possible to get ready in time. After he finished purging the excess, there was still more in the house that needed to go, though. This would be the next ordeal. All right. Thanks for listening. Have an awesome day.